if you look at the history of mankind, you see us as part of very small groups that are traveling around hunter-gathering, and in small little tight-knit groups that are very competitive against other groups. You come across a new group of humans, immediately the threat detectors go up. There might be a fight over resources. This is my tree. This is my area where the barley grows. You keep your hands off. Over time, we develop into, like, villages, right? Larger groups, villages. Because larger groups are more competitive against smaller groups. So it's adaptive to survival to have larger groups of people that are working together. Then you get like city-states. You develop urban environments, and you develop a city, and everyone is a citizen of this city. And that's obviously like the city is going to be stronger than some podunk village on the. In fact, the city will probably conquer the village and make the village give food to the city because the city there's not a lot of good land in there, right? That leads to what we got next. We got feudalism, so a bunch of different farms and maybe a couple cities together under the rule of a lord. And then from there you get to like a country, the baron of this county. And then from there you go to all the way up to the country, right? And you got a king of a big area where you have a bunch of lords under him. It doesn't have to be feudalism, it could be some other arrangement, right? But what I'm getting at is that human beings develop larger and larger social institutions because it's safer and it helps human flourishing. So, the Roman Empire, the Roman Empire is probably the best example of a really large, multi-ethnic, multi-religious institution that, like, managed to get everyone to believe in it and create this, like, giant structure, this giant social structure that was extremely powerful, but it had its issues, right? But it was very powerful. And at the same time that the Roman Empire was doing this, you had the rise of a religion that mixed into the Roman Empire, and the religion claimed to be universal. Everyone is equal in this religion, and it teaches that we're all in this together, we're all part of the same group, and what matters is like how we act and how we behave in our relationship towards God. Christianity united people in the Roman Empire under one religious ideal. In my opinion, that is sort of like the same impulse that gets you to bigger and bigger groups. Like, a religion is like the next step of that, a universalist religion. Because religion used to be just like, social institutions used to be very small-knit. Like, you'd have your god here, across the river that guy would have his god. Maybe, like, you guys like had similar gods so you could get along, but the guy 3 rivers down, fuck his god. But once you get, like, you know, a social institution where there's a lot of trade and people consider themselves part of the same country, that will change also religious beliefs. But also, the religion can serve to unite people under one ideal and makes the group stronger. So that's what Christianity was, that's what Islam was. And sort of the Middle Ages was like a competition between two competing grand religious narratives that were trying to unite mankind. Christianity and Islam, that was what the Crusades were about, right? And, I mean, there was like the particulars there. Always there's the particulars, but in the big picture, that's what was going on. So that's what the sort of like the goal of Christianity was. And Christian nations spread out and they spread their religion everywhere to try to unite mankind, but there were still like these old attachments to like race, group, culture, nation, right? So the Spanish Empire spreads its Catholic religion into Latin America, right? But the people there become Latin, and it takes them a while to become part of like a similar civilization. So a religion can unite people, but it's not always perfect. It's not always like the goal of the religion is to unite everyone under this one banner, but the particulars are always sort of getting in the way. Like for instance, even in the kingdom, you have different groups competing with each other, and it could lead to civil war, or even like in a small village community, you have like two sides that like want to kill each other. That's like what the Viking sagas are about. Is people not getting along in small communities. But what particular to the Western mind is like I think this like it's taking the universality of Christianity, making it secular, kind of like what the Roman Empire did, and trying to unite mankind under like what George W. Bush did in the Middle East. Even though that was like a shit show and there was a lot of corruption, the ideological sort of framework behind that was that everyone wants to be free. Sort of the Francis Fukuyama, everyone agrees now that liberal democracies are the way to go, so we just have to sort of use a little bit, we have to nudge the world in the right direction, and we can make the world believe in human rights and live under this one global community. That's what liberalism is. That's what the tension between like the liberal who wants to bring in a bunch of people that might have a different culture is because they think that it's wrong to be attached to the particulars. The particulars, like the Viking saga where the two guys don't get along in a small community, they need to get over their differences and realize that we're part of one community. It's just like we need to realize we're all part of one country, or we need to realize that we're all part of the same world, because the evolutionary psychology behind it is that a big group is going to be stronger than a little group. So if we can get over our differences, we can have kumbaya, this sort of like a moral, like irrational attachment to this idea. But the reason that we're striving for that is because it'll help us be a bigger group that'll help us flourish better. And the problem is that in our age, people want to do it, but the particulars that cause us to disagree, that cause us to have problems with each other, we haven't solved those problems yet. So Christianity failed. It led to a fractured Europe where everyone's fighting each other. It led to World War I, World War II. And Christianity, if you devolved, even though everyone stayed Christian, they all fought each other. We had a civil war in this country when we tried to unite under ideals, and Europe right now is trying to import everyone to have like just like a universal man. But that's falling apart, and it's starting to cause a lot of destabilization and conflict.